Welcome to the Rhen'ho Flailer version of the regulator build. Basically, we're using the Rhen'ho Flailer and a different gear setup just to show you a different other option in case you don't want to go the Zunimasa route. In this version, we're using a tall man's finger. So just basically for the gear breakdown, we got the Drum helmet, we have the Tasker and Thea. That's trifecta. Drum really doesn't matter too much. I mean, just the highest amount of pet damage you can get. We have the Ogdal's shoulders, the chest, and the bracer. Both Ogdals have damage rolls for the zombie dog. We have, of course, the necklace I showed before in the other video, physical and crit percent chance critical damage. This will help our pets that are physical, property, and our pile on. I use the old school witching hour. You can use a new one or whatever you like. The reason I like to use get a little bit more damage in there is because I have the two-piece blackthorns to provide me a little bit of survivability. We have, of course, the Stone of Jordan physical increased damage. I got the Tall Man's Finger, which basically makes us have one big gigantic zombie dog. Two-piece Blackthorns. You can switch this out for anything that you like. Some people like to use Ice Climbers and just use the Blackthorns pants. Some people like to use Hexing. It's kind of up to you. Also, Rhen'ho Flailer. The main thing of the build, just because it's going to allow for our Toad Infinity Toads to double hit, which will give us back extra mana and basically keep us pile-oning all day. And the Ukupan Serpent, of course, you want to run zombie dog damage. I try to roll this one. I'm up to like 2 million on a reroll, so eventually, hopefully, I get it to the point where I can have zombie dog damage on here. But you know, damage to Gargantuan is not the end of the world. All right. First skill, of course, is the Plague of Toads. Gain 9 mana every time a toad hits an enemy. Since we have the Rhen'ho Flailer, it will double hit and give us back 18 mana, or how many times it hits or whatever, but it will give us a good amount of mana back. Pylon Zombie Charger, like I said, it's just basically incorporating a spell that will give us a lot of extra DPS and allow us to do damage with our pets and do well. Spirit Walk with Jaunt, pretty straightforward. Lifelink with the Zombie Dog. It takes 10% extra damage to combine that with also the Ukupan Serpent. Gives us a lot of damage mitigation, so we don't have to worry too much about toughness. Gargantuan Restless Giant. And then also Paragon of Paranado to put everything in one area so we can drop Pylon on it. Pierce the Veil for increased damage. Grave Injustice to decrease the damage, to decrease the cooldown time of Paragon of Paranado, and also our Spirit Walk. Really don't need it too much on Spirit Walk. It's primarily for Paragon of Paranado. Fetish Sycophants, because we're using Rhen'ho Flailer, we're going to generate a lot of fetishes. And Midnight Feast to increase the damage of our Gargantuan and our zombie dog. And let's go ahead and go in the Rift. Alright, let's get to it. So it's pretty much the same thing. I will be spamming a lot of Pylon until I have no mana, and then I'll simply be using the Toads to not only generate fetishes, but to get my mana back up. So it's pretty nice because we can get our mana back up really fast, and then also generate fetishes. Zombie Dog's helping us mitigate a lot of damage because we have the Ukupan Serpent, and then of course fetishes will generate because we're using the Rhen'ho Flailer very quickly. Go. Pretty straightforward. Lacking a little bit of density. So again, when you're low on mana, you just spam the Toads. And then you drop all the bombs with the Pylon. It's pretty much straightforward. But as again, like if you don't have a Rhen'ho Flailer, in the other build that I did, I used a Thunder Fury or any whatever weapon you can manage to get will work quite well with the spiders. But if you do have a Rhen'ho Flailer and you'd like to try incorporating the Pylon into your physical build, then using the Toads that generate mana just kind of make a lot of sense. And plus, with this version of the build, we don't have to use the Royal Ring of Grandeur. I'm sorry, the Ring of Royal Grandeur, because we're using the Tall Man's Finger in combination with the Sage. So we're generating our fetishes, so we can get 15 fetishes out, plus have a zombie dog, which does pretty good damage. He hits for about 50 million, which is not the highest on a physical build. You can get him to hit higher. But it is pretty damn nice. Helps out with the elites. And some people, maybe they don't use the Rhen'ho flavor. They like said this before, they might want to use the SMK and use that with spiders. So I might even do a video with that because SMK is a pretty solid pick. You would pretty much just drop the gargantuan, but I'm kind of waiting for 2.1 before I do that, because then I can wear the Zuni pieces, run the SMK, and use fetish sycophants and get 23 fetishes out. All the elites right here, so we'll just spam until we don't have any more mana. Re-spam again. And like I said, it hits around for about, I'd have to say, 15 million on pets if you get the right amount of damage. I'm sorry, 15 million damage on non-elites, and elites you should be doing around 20 to 25 million crits. It just depends. But like I said, just the ability of the toads to double hit to give you back mana, Piranhas and Paragon and Pylon, it just makes it pretty solid. And it's just nice to be able to actually cast a spell that feels like it's actually doing a decent amount of damage. Because oftentimes some people be like, hey Debo, like what can you do to try to use, or what other spells can I cast maybe with, like, you know, while, you know, generating fetishes or using pet builds. I know especially one of my best builds is Tall Man's Finger with Zuni set, and I have an SMK, and half the time, because I'm using Hexing Pants, I can't even cast any spells of ability. Now if you want to use Hexing Pants with this build, you actually can. But what you have to remember is you have to be moving by the time the pylon actually connects in damage, and you'll still maintain the damage increase.
I must wait longer.
There we go. And he's teleporting because he doesn't want to get hit by my pylon. There we go. Cast a couple pylons, is hitting for about 23, hit for 25, 23, 23, so for 3 casts to get out about 60 million damage, it's not that bad. But like I said, you do have to land it, you do have to aim it. That one hit for 27, I was pretty happy about that. Oh, somebody just commented Paragon. Well, yeah, Paragon is pretty much straightforward. I mean, for the most part, any type of pet build you're doing for a Paragon, it's going to be critical percent chance and critical damage. Attack speed's great, of course, but for the most part, when Witch Doctors are all starting out, it's usually everybody puts points in the int. Critical percent chance is the first ones. Armor or all resistance, and then the last tab is usually life on hit. And then when you start doubling up after you get crit percent chance, of course you want to get crit damage because those yield the most amount of damage. So. But that is a good point. I probably should start including Paragon, but Paragon, the kind of reason I don't is because so many Paragon levels vary. Some people might have 100, some people might have 900, and that is like a significant difference, you know, depending on how many Paragon levels you do have. Now, in the future for this build, if I was running this version of it, I probably would use the gem that allows me to increase my attack speed, which would be very nice, which means I'll be able to get my mana back even faster. I'd also would use the pet damage to increase the pet damage, of course, and I probably would still use the stagger gem. Now, if you want to run a unity ring instead of the Sage, that's actually pretty decent. That will give you a lot more damage mitigation. That's something that you definitely want to do if you plan on doing the future Greater Rifts and utilizing this build. Or you might end up using it like basically with Zunimasa. So not only can you have 15 fetishes out, you have the Zunimasa, and then what you would do is just use a Ring of Royal Grandeur, and then of course use the Unity Ring, because that's pretty much what you have to do. You definitely want that Unity Ring, double Unity Follower Ring combo, because it does mitigate a lot of damage. And then you still need the Ring of Royal Grandeur because you're running the 3-piece Zuni, so you can get that 4th piece bonus. But those are just ideas and what have you not. Now, if you guys haven't known that they actually have changed the pet gem on the PTR version from critical percent chance of making pets indestructible to increase pet damage and making pets take 30% less damage once you max that gem out. And gems will no longer start at level 1, they all will start at level rank 0. Also, they will not be going up to level 50 anymore. I do believe they're going to have a cap out at 200. And you will never fail on gems anymore. You'll just, the higher you go, the more ranks you get. They also made a big change on the PTR, or basically in future and Greater Rifts, if you're watching this from the future, where after you complete a Greater Rift, you can have the option to whether or not to upgrade your gym, but if you do, then you don't progress onwards. So if you guys haven't started to already, you want to definitely start building like rings that actually have good statistics, but also have sockets, so you will have the ability to not gimp your DPS too horribly when legendary gems come out, because you can only put them on rings and necklaces, and you will need to make sockets inside of the gear. I know one of the first mistakes I made on the PTR is when I first got there, when I was testing out all the different builds and stuff, is that I basically just re-rolled all my re-rolls to sockets, lost a lot of DPS, and just jammed a bunch of gems in there, and you really shouldn't do that. I ran the wrong way. And there's so many worms on this level. Now, somebody in the stream just asked me, aren't there items to add sockets? It only works for weapons. It doesn't work for rings or amulets. From rings or amulets, the last time I talked to people on PTR, last iteration I saw, it was only for weapons. Alright. Over halfway done. Woo! And he's frozen. He's feisty. This guy, he's really unpresent. Woo! This would be a lot easier if I was running double unity follower combo. There we go. But the zombie dog and the Ukapun serpent are mitigating a lot of damage, and they're killing stuff pretty quickly, so it's working out pretty well. I don't know where that 97 million came from, maybe from the dog. Woo, that jailer. I do not like jailer. Whoever at Blizzard thought it was okay to add jailer damage, especially with greater rifts that scale progressively in terms of damage and what's happening, it's not the smartest idea. They should maybe take a relook at that, but we'll just have to wait and see. Somebody asked a question. They said Ramaldin's gift. How rare is it on the PTR? That's the item. That's a legendary item that allows you to get a free socket roll on your weapons. My friend Ryan he streams too. He does Witch Doctor stuff. I think he got. I think within 200 hours gameplay, he got 4. So it's not too bad. I mean, those weapons are reserved. I mean, that item is reserved for like really top tier weapons. So if you get one, you're just not gonna waste it. You're gonna actually save it for that SMK or that Rhen'ho flailer or that maybe a really crazy DPS'd out maybe Thunder Fury. You're just not gonna use it on any weapon. And then they also did buff two-handed weapons, but I doubt we're gonna be using them anytime soon. And since we have the zombie dog, the elites are not too bad. They die pretty quick. We have okay mitigation, but I don't know. Let me see here. Woo! Seems like they want to be a jerk today on the wrist, but that's okay because we're handling it just fine. There we go. That's like that. There we go. There we go. I'm getting a lot of teleport mobs today. These rifts are not user-friendly. But I can't complain too much because it does get a lot worse in greater rifts. There we go. Almost got the Wolf Guardian to show its face. Let's hopefully get back up to 15 fetishes so we can have the full amount. Of course, I do have my zombie dog. I don't think it'll be necessary, so we'll see. Hopefully we can get 15 fetishes out before the Rift Guardian comes out. Looks like we will. There we go. And let's see what Rift Guardian we got. Okay, this shouldn't be too bad. There we go. Until we have no mana. And then right back to spiders. The unfortunate thing about it when you're using Rhen'ho Flailer on single targets is really not that great because you can't generate too much mana back because the toads only hit so much. When there's a bunch of monsters on the screen, it does work a lot better. But as soon as I get back to max mana, I just basically spam a bunch of pylons. They're critting for 26 million, so I'm pretty happy with that. Have to be a little careful. Getting low. Healing low in the other room, and it's down. Alright, so I mean, like I said, if you haven't tried incorporating Pylon into your builds and stuff like that or physical, I'd advise to try it. It's just nice to be able to not only use your pets to do a large amounts of damage, but also having a spell that can crit for, you know, 25 million on elites, about 15 million on monsters. Works really well with Paragon, so just give it a try. Like I said though, but I think this build is gonna really shine once. Like I said before so many times that when 2.1 goes live, we can run that SMK, we can run Fetish Sycophants, run the 3P Zuni special, use the Legion of Daggers and all that fun stuff, and then 23 fetishes out with Big Bad Voodoo, and also spamming Paranado with Pylon. It's just gonna make it do, or make us do a lot of damage. So as always, I appreciate you guys watching the videos, and check out the YouTube videos and stuff like that. And as always, I appreciate you guys watching. I'm Debo, and I'm out.